Hey, Street Talking Other Stuff, Mike MadDog Magnotti. Thanks for tuning in on this Monday morning. And as you can see, I'm flying solo today. And there's a couple of things I want to say before we go to our first break and before the show starts. First of all, we just finished a successful run of Music Theater Wenatchee's production of The Minutes. I invited you to come. Many of you did. And for that, I thank you. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed producing this show. Secondarily, I'm going to say a lot of things today that could be considered controversial, and as it states at the beginning of the show, my opinions do not necessarily represent anyone else's connected with NCW Life, the Wenatchee World, the owners of this organization. They are my opinions, and if you have issue with me, maddog@nwi.net. Feel free to email me whether you agree or not. This is me talking today, but what we're going to talk about today is the fact that this nation is on a precipice, having been put there by President Donald Trump. And that is bad enough, okay? But what is worse is something else. And that's what we're going to discuss over the next few minutes during this show on Street Talk and Other Stuff. So I invite you to come back. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to take a quick break. We will be right back.
Your favorite local channel is now available for free on your smart TV and connected streaming devices. Watch live programming and catch up with the latest shows on demand. See the local stories that matter to you. NCW Life, now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
When your heating or cooling system is giving you trouble, call the diagnostic doctor from Dick's Heating and Air Conditioning.
Here's the culprit right here.
All joking aside, when you call Dick's, you're calling 35 years of experience at customer service right here in the Wenatchee Valley. Dick's strongly believes in repairing before replacing, and they service all major brands of HVAC units.
You trust the same doctor for your health and the same dentist for your smile. Trust Global Car Care to keep your vehicle running strong. We track your car's history so it gets the right care at the right time. With our 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on parts and labor, you'll drive away with confidence. Global Car Care, your automotive experts. We service all makes and models, but specialize in Sprinter vans, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen, and BMW. Call or visit us today.
Highlander Golf Course and Grill, your place for fun, food, and friends. Happy hour every day, 2 to 7. Try their brand new menu and famous prime rib every Saturday night. Planning a celebration? Book your holiday party, wedding, or private event, even in their exclusive simulator rooms. Highlander Golf Course and Grill, where every day is a celebration. Visit today.
Okay, Street Talk and Other Stuff, we're back. And as we said, I said earlier today that this nation is on a precipice placed there by President Donald Trump. But that's not the worst thing that's going on in this country, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. Now, the issues involved with our president that need to be called out and addressed, it's difficult to stay abreast of them because it's like an avalanche. The gaslighting just does not stop. Now, a while back, somebody chastised me on Facebook. They said, I just wish I could log on one day without seeing you complain about that man. And I said, I wish I could wake up one day without finding something to complain about. Okay, in case in point, this morning, I wake up to the news that our president is planning, with the approval of the board, of course, of closing down the Kennedy Center for 2 years because of badly needed restorations, which only he can take care of. Well, yeah. As if this doesn't have anything to do with the fact that artist after artist after artist is canceling their concerts, canceling their appearances because of the nonsense with him naming the Kennedy Center after himself. And then he says things like this and expects us to just think, oh yeah, it's fine, it's normal. It has nothing to do with the fact that artists are canceling and attendance is dropping. Again, like I said, this is just this morning, all right? But I want to back up a little bit, okay? Now, we were told repeatedly that by Carolyn Leavitt that Donald Trump is the president who has shown more respect for police officers than any other. Okay, great. One of his first actions, as we all know, was to pardon the 1,500 plus convicted people who were responsible for the insurrection of the Capitol on January 6th. And yes, that's what it was. It was a mob of people criminally incited, proven to be criminally incited by Donald Trump to stop the due process of the procedure of our democratic republic on that day. These people were responsible for injuring seriously over 140 police officers. And now what the president has done 5 years later to celebrate the 5th anniversary of this, what did they call it? A day of love, a normal tourist visit. He set up a new website to totally change the script on what was going on and saying that the people who were the insurrectionists were in fact patriots and the violence was caused by the behavior of the police on the scene. Now, look it up, okay? Don't take my word for it. You don't have to look at CNN. You don't have to listen to Rachel Maddow, neither of which I do, by the way. Look it up yourself and see what happens. We had an insurrection on January 6th of people trying to overturn the due process of law in our government. And that man is rewriting the script and saying that those 1,500 people were patriots. And this is from a man who has repeatedly alleged that foreign governments have been dumping their criminals into our population, and then he goes and does it himself, okay? All right. This act, of course, justified by the big lie that he won the 2020 election. Now, in his excellent book, The Violent Taken by Force, Matthew Taylor says that a large percentage of Americans in this country have become unmoored from reality by believing, despite the evidence, overwhelming evidence to the contrary, that Trump won that election. He did not, folks. I'm sorry. You know, and if you watch Jack Smith's testimony, I didn't watch all of it. I watched enough of it, okay? The man has character. The man has integrity. And he said, I don't care who was president. I don't care Republican or Democrat, okay? Donald Trump was criminally responsible for inciting us to insurrection, and now he's trying to turn the script on everybody. This new website, I won't even go there to look. I'm sorry, all right? Feel free if you want to. Okay, now the concept of these misconceptions and these fabrications, well, dare I say lies, of Donald Trump has become just so commonplace that it's beginning to be we're ignoring it. Now, I want to mention one that is not really all that well known, but almost gave my friend Andrew apoplexy when Donald Trump claimed during the fires in California that, here, let me get it right. He says, water from the Pacific Northwest was flowing abundantly to California. Like I said, excuse me, like I said, my friend Andrew about lost it over that. There was no water flowing from the Pacific Northwest to California. Where does this stuff come from? Okay, now maybe you missed that one. But you definitely didn't miss the one that in Springfield they are eating dogs and cats. Okay, yeah, okay. You know, the people are eating, they're eating the pets of the people that live there. You saw this, you watched it, you saw him say it. Now, of course, this was quite some time ago, I know, but how about a more recent one? His claim that Ukraine started the war with Russia. And that President Zelensky's approval rating with his people was down to 4%. Where does this stuff come from? Now, look, okay, again, don't take my word for it. You don't have to watch the news. Go to Google and Google Trump's misstatements. You don't even have to say Google Trump's lies. You're going to find repeated stuff over and over again. Now, I once posted this site that had the majority of these misstatements. Again, I'm being polite here. And someone came back and said, oh, yeah, it's from a liberal news source. Well, maybe it was. Okay. Look into it yourself. Something else that's going on, okay? How about our president's attacks on the First Amendment? All right, now you remember that one. In part, the First Amendment says this: Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. Well, you would think that the president would realize that this applies to him. Don't you think? Okay, but repeatedly, President Trump has issued threats, lawsuits, and government pressure to control and bully the press and suppress free speech. He has bullied with multi-million-dollar settlements media companies. He has forced costly legislation. He has prompted changes to programming that he doesn't like. He was temporarily successful in getting Jimmy Kimmel off the air because Kimmel poked fun at him. I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt, Mr. President, but you have to go to the point where you force a late-night talk show host to go off the air because you don't like what he says. Bad enough. Thankfully, that was temporary, all right? President Trump has also said that federal regulators should consider revoking broadcast licenses from networks that give me only bad publicity. All they do is hit Trump, he said. They're licensed. They're not allowed to do that. Now, this is a good one. They're an arm of the Democrat Party. All right, and in addition to this, in his attempt to muzzle, to oppress, to intimidate the press, he openly states to reporters who ask questions he doesn't like that they are representatives of fake news. And again, I'm watching him say this. I'm not getting this from any fake news source. I was watching a clip of him, and a reporter asked him a question. He didn't like it, and he said, I don't like your attitude. Where are you from? He said ABC News. He said, ABC News, fake news. He turns to one of his sycophants and says, yeah, ABC, fake news. Look, you know, is this even logical, okay? All right, we have seen him call reporters stupid. We have seen him accuse them of being just tools of the Democrats, okay? We have seen him insult women. We saw him call the respected journalist Catherine Lucy piggy to her face. You saw that, I saw it. And one of the most disturbing things about this was that none of the other people in that group who heard him say that stood up and say, Mr. President, you can't talk that way, okay? That's not allowed. That's disrespectful. You can't talk that way. And one of the worst things as far as a journalist was concerned was that we had an illegal American here by the name of Jamal Khashoggi, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who was murdered in 2018. In regards to this, our president said, well, things happen. And in further denying free speech, in response to 6 congressional Democrats who made a video reminding members of the intelligence community and the military that they had no obligation to obey illegal orders, unlawful orders, that man in the White House responded with his usual adolescent bullying manner by posting on social media that the video was seditious behavior punishable by death. Now, what those Democrats did in that video was just remind people in the military and in the intelligence community that just what's in the military code of justice already. People in the military are not required to obey unlawful orders. Now, we learned that in the Nuremberg trials. Saying I was just obey orders is a path to the gallows. And for anybody to remind people, particularly in this day and age and what's going on with this country, with the potential use or the threatened use of U.S. forces to get involved with another NATO country, reminding people in our military that they are not required to obey unlawful orders is something that is appropriate at this time. But to say that this was seditious behavior punishable by death, well, come to your own conclusion. And some conclusions are problematic, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, now, I want to get into another topic in a minute, one that's familiar with everybody, but we need to take a break. So Street Talk and other stuff, you stick around, we'll be back with more. See you in a minute.
For over 35 years, the Sangster family has been not only representing GMC, but the entire community.
As one of the few family-owned dealerships in Washington, you can count on our personal integrity, which has spanned over 3 generations, to ensure your satisfaction.
Sangster Motors stands behind everything we sell, from GMC professional-grade products and service from a professional-grade dealership.
Remember, caring about your family is what brings you back to ours.
NCW Life Channel is your local TV station. We believe in being the spotlight and mirror to the communities we serve in North Central Washington. Programming on NCW Life would not be possible without our sponsors. Special thanks to our platinum sponsor, Alpine Air. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air.
We've all dreamt of moving somewhere new. But what are home prices like? How are the schools? What are the state income taxes? And how's the weather? For all your questions, the Coldwell Banker Move Meter has answers. It's the only tool that lets you compare cities by cost and quality of living, so you can get a better idea of what your dream looks like and start making it come true. The Move Meter, only from Coldwell Banker. Live well with Coldwell.
Fibercrete fireproof safety rooms can be the difference between life and death for you and your family. Typical fireproof safety rooms are 8x8 Fibercrete panels providing a solid sanctuary. Fibercrete safety rooms can be above ground, buried underground, or built within new home construction. Best of all, a safety room by Fibercrete is very affordable. Call 360-770-2088. You owe it to your family to find out more about Fibercrete safety rooms.
Okay, we're back. Street Talk and other stuff, talking about how Donald Trump has placed us on a precipice, but something else that's worse that's going on. And I wish I had a lot more time, okay, because there's a bunch of other stuff I would like to talk about. Epstein files, of course, are the top of everybody's list. I don't care what comes out with the Epstein files. We already know that the man is an adjudicated rapist and a sexual predator. I used to put guys like that in jail, okay? All right, and I'm proud to say that. The attacks on these alleged drug runners without due process is something else that's fallen between the cracks. This letter to Denmark's prime minister whining and complaining that since you didn't give me the Nobel Prize, I'm going to have to deal with you giving me Greenland. I mean, this is a 5-year-old spoiled brat throwing a fit. Okay? All right. Something else he said recently that he said as a joke, he says, well, you say during the war you can't have elections? Well, that's not true. We've had elections during the war. So let me just say, 3.5 years from now, so you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections. Oh, that's good. Now, of course, Carolyn Levitt, he says it was a joke. Okay, maybe it was. But the fact that he said it all is bad enough, all right? But I want to get to his signature program of making America great again by deporting all these people. Now, he has said repeatedly he wants to deport the criminals. And, I got no problem with that, all right? Every immigrant population that has come into this country has had a criminal element, okay? You want to get rid of these people? I have no problem with that, all right? But 70% of these people in one study say that they've got no criminal record at all. And I know what you're going to come back and say. Yes, they are criminals because they entered this country illegally. Nonsense. Anybody who risks coming to this country to do what they need to do for a better life for themselves and their children, they can come and live next door to me. As a matter of fact, the family of them did once some time ago. Changed my whole attitude about this issue. Okay? But we're seeing, look at the recent stuff. That little boy who was just released, that old man that was taken from his home in just his shorts and sandals or something like that. We have these thugs roaming the street with masks, okay? And I don't know why they're geared up the way they are. I mean, what are they going to invade countries? I mean, just ridiculous. Now, look, I'm sorry. I was a cop in this town for 20 years, all right? I faced more dangerous situations than these folks did. I never wore a mask. I parked my patrol car in my driveway. I didn't care who knew I was a cop, okay? Because I behaved or tried to in such a way that it wouldn't be offensive to the people of this community, all right? Now, what we see these ICE thugs doing is the exact opposite. And here's the thing, is we, as Americans who love this country, who grew up and in 12 years of school every day repeated the Pledge of Allegiance, who learned about the Statue of Liberty, and who were naive enough to believe what this country stood for. And for those of us who sang, Jesus loved me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so, little ones to him belong, they are weak and he is strong. We believe this stuff, okay? And now since we're expressing it, we're called woke, we're called dissenters, all right? Now, Trump's signature move of racially motivated deportations rather than make America great again has led to the murder of American citizens, okay? Now, I don't know who of you read my last column in the Wenatchee World that was entitled, They Lied. I didn't deal with the fact of whether or not the ICE agent felt that his murder of Renee Good was justified. I just dealt with the lies that the administration came out afterwards about that. They said there was a crowd of violent protesters at the time. There wasn't. Donald Trump himself said that Renee Good ran over the ICE agent and he was surprised the person was alive. Now, is there no one who stands and whispers in this man's ear, maybe you better not say something like that? But the lies that were coming out, the vilification about this woman that is coming out since then, has been terrible. Okay, she's an American citizen. Now, I will say this that I didn't say before. That murder was not justified, okay? That agent was not in significant risk enough to shoot that woman in the face and then refer to her the way he did afterwards. I'm sorry, it wasn't. Okay, and now, we have Alex Preddy, okay, who Kristi Noem said was brandishing a gun. No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He wasn't brandishing a gun. Stephen Miller, that guy, referred to Preddy as an assassin who tried to murder federal agents. Really? I would like to see some evidence of that. Maybe in the investigation, which probably won't happen, maybe they can come up with something like that, but I doubt it very much because it didn't happen. All right, Kash Patel said that Preddy broke the law by carrying a concealed weapon. No, he didn't. Minnesota law allows him to carry, and he had a permit to do so. Okay, now, maybe Preddy was a jerk. I don't know, okay? Maybe he was the saint some people are trying to make him out to be. I don't know, and I don't care, okay? You can watch the video themselves. Some ICE thug shoves a woman down, Preddy intervenes. He's pepper-maced, he's thrown to the ground, his hands are out in front of him. It clearly looks like one of the agents has removed his handgun and taken it away, and even if he hadn't, his hands were in front of him, he was face down, and then two agents put, 10 slugs into his back? We witnessed, folks, the murder, the unjustified murder of an American citizen by federal agents. That's what happened, okay? You can spin it all you want. You can say there's a problem with it. You can say that Preddy deserved it, which is the problem I'm going to address in a minute. None of that would be true, all right? This is America, folks, okay? This nation was born in a spirit of standing against tyranny. Benjamin Franklin wrote, "It is the first responsibility of every citizen to question authority." So as Americans, we must be willing to dissent when the values and ideals of this country, those things which don't need any president to make great again, are under attack by anyone, even if they're by the president. And when that happens, we must dissent. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To announce that there must be no criticism of the president, or that we are to stand by the president, right or wrong, is not only unpatriotic and servile, but is morally treasonable to the American people." Now, I said earlier that Trump putting this nation on a precipice was bad enough, but that's not the worst thing that's happening in this country. What is worse is right now his supporters, his sycophants, are willing, in the name of their bastardized patriotism, They are willing to ignore and forego the rights of Americans in support of that man. And we see that with Renee Good and Alex Preddy. These people's, their extreme rights were violated. They were murdered without cause. But people who support Donald Trump are saying, yes, but. They're saying it's okay. They shouldn't have done that. If you don't want the police to shoot you, do what you're told. Well, can I tell you from personal experience? People don't do what the police tell them to do all the time, okay? People resist all the time, and they manage to do so without police officers shooting them in the back, without shooting them in the face, all right? It is ridiculous that people are willing to allow the rights we have been guaranteed as Americans to be stripped away because of support of that man. How many of you, for example, when Jimmy Fallon or anyone got kicked off the air, did not say, hey, wait a minute, the guy has got the right to free speech. I may not like what he says, but his rights are being violated. And let me ask you this. Let's say federal agents busted in right now and said to me, Magnotti, you're being seditious, you're under arrest for sedition. How many Trump supporters would say, wait a minute, I don't like the guy, he's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's got the right to free speech? Or how many instead would say, serves him right? That's the problem we're having in this country right now, is that people are willing to allow rights we have as Americans to be stripped aside because they support that man and his policies. All right, I'm going to conclude when we come back, but we need to take a break, street talk and other stuff. I hope to be right back.
Your favorite local channel is now available for free on your smart TV and connected streaming devices. Watch live programming and catch up with the latest shows on demand. See the local stories that matter to you. NCW Life, now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Are you dealing with a pest or weed issue and you just don't know what to do?
We use the best pest control methods approved for areas with kids and pets.
Whether it's rats, mice, ants, or spiders,
or something else altogether.
We provide the coaching and solutions you're looking for.
And you can know that your dollars are supporting a local, family-owned and operated business.
Allow us to help you get back to living healthy and pest-free. Harvest Valley Pest Control.
Okay, back, street talk and other stuff. I appreciate your indulgence today, okay? I know that a lot that's going on in this country is upsetting to many of us. We need to stand up, folks. We need to speak up, okay? It just, you know, there's that saying, I like it, you know, they came for the immigrants, but I wasn't an immigrant, so I didn't speak up. Well, I like to say they came from the immigrants, and I did speak up because I know the rest of the doggone poem, all right? One last thing. If you're one of those people who jumped to defend these ICE murders before learning what actually happened about what happened, if you're willing to believe the lies told to you by this president and his administration simply because you support him, and if you're one of those who would say, serves him right, rather than saying, I don't agree, but they have a right to free speech, then I'm going to say this. You're not an American. You're a fascist. Okay? And I want to say one last thing, and this one's really going to get me in trouble, okay? To my Christian brethren as well, who continue to follow and agree with the policies of this man, rather than what we were taught in the Sermon of the Mount, I'm sorry, you're not following Christianity. You're following nationalism. And I say again, for those of you with a religious faith, with any confusion, if you want to know what Jesus is telling us to do, read the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7. Read it even if you're not a believer. And if you want to compare that to the policies of Donald Trump and then come back and continue to believe that Donald Trump is representative of what God wants for this country, then like I said, you're not following Christianity, you're following nationalism. This is Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mike MadDog Magnotti, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. I hope you have a great week. And remember, folks, America is worth fighting for. See you next week.